to chat. I miss everybody in Australia. It's
Oh,
nice to hear a fellow Australian or an Australian. I'm not an Australian, but it's just great to hear my friends.
no problem, mate. Look, I wanted to start off by saying congratulations on this album. I've had a chance to take a listen to it, and it's absolutely fantastic. So, congratulations.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Now, I understand that the idea for this album comes from Japanese mythology. Tell us a little bit about what the Night Parade of the 100 Demons actually is and how it inspired this album.
Well, the Night Parade of 100 Demons is a tale of these, I think, these mythical creatures, like demonic kind of creatures, called the Yakai. Yakai, I believe that's how it's pronounced. And they, to my knowledge, they just appear out of nowhere from the depths of hell from these spirit realms, and they show up in these villages, and they'll do like a parade down the street, and everyone that is a human being of this realm called Earth or whatever the reality we're in, they hide in their homes, and if they look at the demons, they die and all that kind of stuff. So it's like for this one night, I guess this goes on, and they just show up and then they'll just disappear. So it's kind of like, some hell-wreaking havoc that just shows up on these poor, unexpecting people. That's how my take on the tale. This is a rough synopsis, I guess.
Yeah, so how did you discover this mythology and how did it inspire this album?
Well, so the music we were writing after getting together from being apart from the lockdown, and the music that was coming out, that Mike and I were just like the riffs that were coming out, they had this feel of like the Japanese bands that we grew up listening to, and that are like the catalysts of starting Earthless, like Flower Traveling Band, Shinki Chen, and like Blues Creation. It just had this Japanese vibe. So we're like, oh, that's really interesting. It's like we're wearing our influences on our hearts, our sleeves on this one, and it feels like we're paying homage. And so we just had this vibe to it, and we're piecing together the tune. And Mike comes in, sometime into the writing of the song. It's like, hey, I got an idea. Maybe it should be called this, Night Parade of 100 Demons. And he starts explaining what it is. He got it from his son because him and his son are really into Japanese, like folklore and, just all like the culture. They're really big on it. And so I was like, wow, okay, that actually makes a lot of sense. And what that did, instead of us just writing music, is like, oh, here's this concept. So we actually, once that idea was brought in of calling it Night Parade of 100 Demons, we started kind of composing like the journey of the village in the beginning, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, these demons show up, and all hell's breaking loose, and then the actual middle portion of the song is the parade, the procession, going down the street, and and then more hell breaking loose, and so it was something we've never done before, kind of that process, but it just all worked really naturally and effortlessly, and it just came together, and that's one of the funnest things we've ever written, and we're very happy about this particular song and this record. Yeah.
So how do you go through that process? Do you try and put yourself into what it would be like in the village on that night? Is that how you go about piecing together what you need for the tracks?
Absolutely. It's just like painting a musical picture. It's like the beginning of the track, it's like really like it's in a major key. So it's really pretty and soft and gentle and calm and inviting. So it's just kind of trying to paint the atmosphere of like the village at sunset, like just a beautiful, peaceful imagery of this village, and like a shooting star goes by, you hear like doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, like just like really trying to paint a picture, and then all of a sudden the main riff kind of kicks in, or the pre-main riff, and it's like, oh shit, all hell's just showed up and everything's about to go to shit. So it's just a really like trying to paint the picture musically of the whole process of the village just being at peace, and then the demons showing up and all hell breaking loose, and then they're going down the road. So it was, I mean, it's fun. It's like, because I feel like our music is very visual. It's when I'm playing, I'm thinking of the ocean, or like just, you know, nature scenery is where my brain's at. So composing this was a lot of fun to like really, you know, paint a picture of what life is like, you know, if this was going on. It was, yeah, it's just a different process than we normally approach.
Yeah, and you've got the two epic tracks lengthwise. How did that happen? Did that happen organically, or was that something that you talked about as a band before you sat down to record?
Like, what do you mean?
Like the 41-minute two-parter and the 20-minute track with Death to the Red Sun.
Yeah, so the title track, it just felt right. We wanted to make it a long journey and to tell a story, especially if you know the backstory, to just again create that imagery, and it just felt right to make it that long. It's usually longer when we rehearse it or when we play it live. I mean, it can very well go longer, but we did contain ourselves in the studio, just especially to make it fit on the sides of the record. So we made condensed it for that. And then Death of the Red Sun, it's just felt right to go that length. We just had parts, and that the thing with us, it's like if we want to say more, we'll say more. If we feel like we need to put an explanation point on something, we'll do it, or add another musical paragraph to it, just to get our point across of what feels right to us. So, and that's just how it's always been. We don't like to constrict things. I guess in the studio you got to do it a little bit. The Death of the Red Sun, that's a more composed, compact kind of a song for us, whereas Night Parade, it's going to be more open when we play it live. The tendency to be stretched out because there's parts that lend itself to that.
I know previously it's been said that Black Heaven kind of took the band out of its comfort zone. Did this album feel more like the traditional Earthless sound?
Yeah, totally. And it was something like that I personally, and I think the other guys too, but I personally, after Black Heaven, it was like, oh man, all I want to do for the next record is make it just 2 songs, like kind of the old record way, our first few records, just that's it, all instrumental, just straight up, no anything of like Black Heaven, and I like Black Heaven. It was fun. It's just a different experience, and it's just fun to make music and try different things, but I don't know. I find us at our best, or at my preferred Earthless, tastes and flavors are, like the long jams and long instrumentals.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great to get back to this, and everyone was on board, and it felt right. And yeah, it's nice to go back to this way. Yeah.
Now, you moved back to San Diego just before the I think it was the night the pandemic hit. How did the pandemic affect the way that you guys worked on this album, but also how did it also make it easier with you in the same area as the other guys as well?
Well, we didn't get together for probably like 4 months after I got here. I think maybe 4 months, just because we didn't know what this pandemic was all about, and everyone was scared and not seeing each other. And it was long before vaccines, and so I think psychologically, really sucked not to be able to go do anything, and especially go play music. Now that I was down here, no one felt comfortable, and when we did finally get into doing it, everyone's wearing masks. It was such a weird time.
Yep.
As for the planet, but we were no different in the planet. So yeah, it's just how it is for everybody. And so when we finally got to playing, and I was down here, it's like the music just came naturally. We didn't force it. We weren't planning on writing a record. We had no idea how long any of this pandemic stuff was going to be going on for, and we're still in it. So we were just playing just to play, and the music just came out. And me being here and us getting together once or twice a week, it made it easier. It was low pressure, whereas Black Heaven, like we did like writing summits, or whatever, and it was fine. And that was a great way to work too. But it was really nice for us just to be kind of in our element of not having to force anything, and just just having that comfort and luxury. Like, okay, we're all here now, and now we just get together on whatever night, how we used to do it. And yeah, it felt really good. It was really nice to return to that, and it's nice to not release the record 6 years apart or 4 years apart. It was only a couple years for us, which is amazing. We're usually a very stretched out band in terms of studio releases. So
yeah, and talking of the pandemic, where are you at there now in San Diego? Are you able to get out and do shows, or is it like what it is here at the moment? We had a couple of months where everything was back in full swing, and then Omicron hit, and we're suddenly back, not in lockdown, but most of the entertainment things like live shows and that have been stopped again.
Right. Yeah, no, there's shows now, but we just had a tour of the West Coast. That's but that it all got postponed to April because of the Omicron threat of what if somebody gets sick like 1,000 miles away? Fuck, we're gonna lose a lot of money and time, and we're hoping things will mellow out, but and we're gonna play shows this weekend, but there's more. All of it's getting postponed, so
yep.
It's a pain in the ass, and it's just is what it is, and it's really unfortunate for everyone involved or anyone that it affects. Of course, it's a total bummer, but it's what it is right now, and kind of learning to get used to it, as frustrating as it is. But I don't know. If you're lucky, you get a show in, but as stuff's on. Let's just say that stuff is on, and people don't mask up around here, and it's kind of a trip.
Yep. Yeah, it's the same here. I think actually a lot more people here this time with this variant of the virus have actually sat up and take notice. There was a lot of resistance here in Melbourne with the lockdowns and things like that, but we had a day here recently, and I know this sounds like a small number for you, but for us it was a huge number. We had 100,000 cases in the one day, and it shocked everybody. People kind of put themselves in self-imposed lockdowns, whereas 12 months earlier they were rioting in the streets because the government were telling them to lock down. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird vibe here at the moment.
Yeah, I bet. I keep tabs on what's going on down there with some friends, and yeah, it's a fucking frustrating thing. I've just seen you guys like open up and lock down, open up and lock down, and yeah,
definitely. Well, mate, to finish up, what would you like to say to people out there before they listen to this album, and when everything opens back up again? Can we expect Earthless in Australia at some time for some shows?
You'll definitely see us down there as soon as it's possible. I'll tell you that much. Hopefully at the end of this year, early next, your summertime. Hopefully, if all goes well, if things are better. And yeah, I don't know. I just hope people give the record a go, and I hope they dig it and eat a lot of, we like Mexican food. Grab some Mexican food. I don't know.
Definitely.
have fun. Like, yeah, I just hope you enjoy the record, and hope everyone's well and pulling through and staying positive. I know we'll all get out of this shit, and there's nothing better than live music. To me, there's absolutely nothing fucking better. So I just hope we all can get back there soon.
Definitely.